The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you please turn off all electronic equipment, stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Bornberg.
Here.
Ms. Tawny.
Here.
Seeing as there's nothing else on the agenda, we'll go right to department reports. Ed, would you like to start?
Okay, I have a brief report. We had pre-construction meeting for well number 10. That will, it'll commence, I believe, the week of the 15th of September. That's a redevelopment of the well. It's a maintenance activity that we have to do every 5 to 7 years. In addition, we had a pre-construction meeting for the road program. I'm waiting for a schedule from the contractor. I anticipate sometime in October them starting the road, what would be previously called the 2013 road program, which we are going to rename at some point in the future. So, other than that, I've been pursuing dredging through both, I should say dredge spoil disposal through the committee I'm on, as well as just research and other professionals to see what we can come up with.
Thank you. Frank?
We had a busy weekend last weekend with Labor Day, especially on the beach. But this week we've also been busy. We're also getting ready for the Dean Randazzo Surf Contest Saturday. It's a cancer money raiser. And on Sunday we have the Dune Dash, the Margate Education Foundation. That's going to be up around Granville Avenue. That is for families and children, which is going to be a really big event. We will help starting tomorrow prepare for that. We've been also working in Marvin Gardens. We've done a lot of weeding. We're cleaning up the beds. We have to do some more mulching. We've been picking up the trash around there. We pulled all new electric lines through the gardens that we're going to light the trees up again with. We're ordering those lights, I believe, tomorrow. So hopefully next week we get them. We're also going to be out on the parkway. We want to start trimming some bushes and cleaning up some dead bushes. We were also up at the library park. The trestle there is in need of some repairs. There were some electrical fixtures that had to be replaced. We took care of that today. And I believe that's about it.
Thank you, Frank, for all you do. Chief Wilson.
I'm glad Labor Day's over. It was extremely busy, but nothing noteworthy, which is always good. We're muddling through the accreditation process, and we're on target to become an accredited agency, I believe, January 1 at the latest. So that'll be a good thing. Other than that, everything's good.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Deeney.
In the absence of the fire chief today, he asked me to announce and remind the commissioners and the public that the fire department will be having a 10 o'clock a.m. 9/11 service on Thursday in front of the firehouse on Ventnor Avenue and the corner of Washington. All the public is invited, as are the commissioners. This has become an annual event, and I think it's one well worth attending. In addition to that, we received, if you recall at the last meeting, you authorized us to formally apply for a series of grants that are post-Sandy planning assistance grants that are being awarded now to several communities. The Atlantic City, it just was announced that Atlantic City received their grant. Margate will be getting a grant very similar to Atlantic City in number. It totals $360,000. We received the official notification today of that grant, and we're excited to be able to undertake the kinds of projects that the planning exercise that took place last spring led to this request. And among the projects will be including money for our master plan, Roger, and a planning board. So we have to do that plan anyhow on a periodic basis. We'll be able to fund that through these Sandy planning grants. There's a whole series of other grants that were listed in the newspaper and listed in the resolution at the last meeting, and we'll be able to start undertaking them this fall. Thank you. I do have some other reports. If you have any questions on that one, fine. 360,000, they total, 9 different grants. We are in the process of assembling data, official source data, for a special page on the website dealing with the beach fill. I invite the commissioners to present to me anything that you have that is with an official source, that's information that you would like to have posted. We expect to have that up and running in a matter of days next week. Our engineer will be placing the set of drainage plans, or the engineering plans, a full set of plans similar to the ones that are on the table in front of you, in a PDF format, sending it to Fred, and Fred will be able to get those on the website. In addition to that, we expect to have the original document, which is now in CD form, and I've spoken to Fred, and he'll be able to get that document onto the website. That is the original planning document that led to the Absecon Island beach fill plan by the Army Corps of Engineers. The letters that you've already seen from the attorneys, they will be also posted on that site. Any other official documents that the commissioners have in their possession that they would like to have included on that website, if they would get them to me, I will get them, review them, get them to Fred, and we'll get them posted. Any questions on that? Okay. Lastly, as it relates to beach fill, I had a conversation this afternoon with Rob Andrews, who is the attorney that the commission hired last meeting, and this is the second or third conversation I've had with him since last Thursday. I want to report the following. Charles Rooney, who's the Senior Vice President of T&M Engineering, toured the beach with Frank Richetti on Wednesday, and Charles, has been in touch with Rob Andrews with respect to his preliminary findings based on that physical review and also his plan review of the plans that are on that table. Mr. Rooney has requested from the Army Corps a number of items missing from the plan documents that are provided. He's on record requesting these, and as of this morning, he had not received any of that information yet from the Army Corps or the DEP. He has been directed to a specific person. He's trying to get those documents and is willing to travel anywhere to get them, and he needs those to be able to complete his review. That's kind of good news and bad news at the same time. Bad news that we still haven't been able to get all these documents, but the good news is either they don't have them, that's why they're not giving them to us, and it's an indication that they still haven't completed their drainage documents. They haven't sent them to the city engineer, and so, that it's optimism as well as some sense of pessimism that we don't have them. Number 3, Title 12, I understand through Mr. Andrews, requires a filing for any taking, any beach easements. So questions have been raised as what happens, what's the process? There has to be what they call a filing. And with that, the important part of that is that he advised me that there has to be a 14-day notice given to the property owners. So we have not, as a property owner on the beach, the city of Margate, have not received any notice. But if we had, we would have 14 days to respond. Number 4, as I say, no filing appears to be imminent. We will not and will not likely take place until the Corps is ready to go to bid. That information Mr. Andrews received through the office of Commissioner Martin. We don't know any more about when that's going to take place, but it hasn't taken place, and it's not likely to take place until the Corps is ready to go to bid. The Corps does not appear ready to go to bid because the drainage and engineering, as far as we know, is not finished. Our attorney has conversed directly with Commissioner Martin this week. He knows Commissioner Martin from other dealings when he was a congressman and was able to reach him easily and conversed with him this week. Commissioner Martin has indicated to Rob Andrews that Commissioner Martin will be receptive to another meeting with Margate when Margate has completed our engineering analysis of the final plans, which is being undertaken in one respect by our city engineer with respect to drainage as it comes from our roads and so forth, which you've been looking at for a long time, Ed. And secondly, from our specially hired engineer, Charles Rooney, with respect to the Dune project, Dune and Beachfield project at large. It's our intent at this point, that is Rob Andrews and our engineer, myself, in conversations with the commission, to analyze the project from a different perspective and to seek ways in which that project could be modified and to present that information directly. We now have a promise that we'll have an opportunity when we're ready to do that. Should we have to act before we're ready, either before the November election when there's a referendum question on, or before we have this engineering analysis finished, I am assured as late as 3 o'clock this afternoon that we will be ready legally to be able to take action in less than 24 hours. We have 14 days. The only thing that would require would be for this commission to authorize that action to take place. We cannot do that independently, either as attorneys or administration. But as soon as that filing takes place, if it does, and we have our 14-day notice, we'll be in consultation with the full commission, likely have an emergency meeting, and you can take the action that you wish to take at that point. We will be ready and are confident that we will have a strategy in mind to be able to take place should that happen soon. We want the opportunity to present alternatives. Are there any questions from the commission?
I have a question.
Turn the mic on.
At which point, when we get the 14 days notice, the action that we would vote to take, is that the injunction? Would that be the injunction?
Well, that's what people are referring to as an injunction, yes.
Okay, okay.
It would be a stay of some kind.
All right. Yeah, My concern is
I'm not
that-
the lawyer, so I may be using words that are inadequate, but it's my understanding that we would seek a stay.
My concern is just keeping the project at bay until the people have the opportunity to vote in November.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
My concern is just keeping the project at bay until the people have the opportunity to vote in November.
That's likely, that likely will happen.
It's,
A lot of steps have to take to get to that point, but as of this afternoon, we're quite confident that nothing physically is going to happen on that beach prior to November.
Thank you, Rich, and thanks for handling this for us. Appreciate it.
By the way, I do have a limited number of copies of what I just read, just so that there's no, they're my words, but I'm going to make them available to the commission, and I'll make them available to the media for sure, and we can make other copies if other people want that. It's not an official document, it's what I just read, though, so that at least it would be accurate as it's recorded, so to speak, through the media or through the grapevine.
well done. Thank you, Rich. Scott?
Very briefly, just everything our Attorney Andrews required. We sent up to him copies of everything and indexed. His letter of engagement was received by the city mayor. I don't know if you've signed that yet or not, but he's requested it. The contract forms and the certifications are also now in possession of Andrews, so we should be getting those back any day.
Thank you, Scott. Tom?
No, fine.
Roger?
Mayor, in line with what Mr. Deeney said about those studies for the new master plan and zoning ordinance, a group of residents of Marvin Gardens, led by a Bobby Trottenberg, contacted me and came to my office last week to discuss what could be done in terms of zoning to preserve the character of Marvin Gardens. They're interested in things like keeping the mass of new buildings down, using the existing footprint of the older historical buildings, keeping the combined driveways between the two properties rather than the current trend of having separated driveways. They were not talking so much about historical controls or aesthetic controls, but more about zoning controls. A very nice, reasonable a group of people, and I advised them that we were waiting to hear about these grants coming through to do a new master plan and zoning ordinance. They were very happy to hear that the timing is good, and I asked them to please give us a written outline of all of the thoughts they have so we can give it to our master planners when we choose them, and they said they would do that. So it was a very good meeting, very productive, and of course the general public should know as we go through this process over the next year or so, there will be numerous public hearings for all of the general public to participate at the planning board and at the commissioner level, and it should be a very thoroughgoing revision of our zoning controls. And I think we need it, and I'm glad it's happening. Other than that, we're very busy, and the building boom is continuing. That's it.
Thank you, Roger. Jim?
I commend Rich on a nice report about the dune study. Thank you, Rich. I have nothing. The demo restriction's out on September 15th, so get ready.
Fred?
I don't have anything to report, thank you.
Rosie? Brenda?
I'll be working on the fall newsletter and sending requests out for a copy from everybody and letters from the commission soon. And also, I found out that Monica Coffey, our chair of Sustainable Margate, was recognized recently by Sustainable Jersey. So hopefully there'll be some press about that soon, but congratulations to Monica. She really has done an outstanding job, leading this group, so thank you to Monica, and that's all.
Thank you, Brenda. Mari?
Yes, thank you. I just briefly spoke to Scott prior to the meeting, and he thought it was a good idea, and I suggested that we need to draft a letter out to the Army Corps and request that we be notified when they come to work on our beaches. My understanding is that they were on the beach Tuesday, that no one in an official capacity in Margate knew they were going to be working on the beach. They had their ATVs out, and so in that regard, I think we should, and I've asked Scott, and he has agreed to draft a letter to them, asking for some common courtesy. Certainly, we haven't invited them here. It seems that their cavalier attitude goes without saying, and in that regard, I think they need to get a nice letter from us that says, hey, if you're coming back, you need to let us know. And that's all I have.
Just to piggyback on that, I have phone calls into the DEP and also the Corps of Engineers, which have not been returned to deal with the same subject. I'm going to ask them personally to, let us know when they're coming, just as a common courtesy. And with that, we're all done. We'll open up to public comment. 3 minutes on anything that was discussed here today. Who wants to be first?
Sewell, 22 West Drive. 3 quick points to 3 people here. First, to Frank, thank you for the cleanup of Marvin Gardens. Hopefully, we'll be exploring the possibility of historic grants from both the state or federal level, and perhaps in the meantime, a plan to perhaps remove on a gradual basis the overgrown ornamental grasses, and put them, elsewhere in the city where they may be more appropriate. Just a thought. Moving on to Mr. Deeney. When he mentions alternatives, I hope it's not only just the enhanced bulkheads, which indeed are a good idea, both ocean and bay, but in addition to that, the key thing that's going to keep sand in place and prevent the silting up of the Great Egg Harbor Inlet would be a master jetty. Without the master jetty, you can put replenishments in there every 2 years if you have northeasters. And the master jetty is the key to preserving the sand. And in fact, not only preserving it, but extending it by thousands of feet if you use the Brigantine master jetty as a model. Last but not least, commenting on Roger's thoughts concerning zoning or rezoning within Marvin Gardens, I think it's very important to take notice that due to the changes in the FEMA flood insurance rates and the FEMA flood heights, it makes most of the original buildings within Marvin Gardens below the new recommended heights. So in effect, it makes many of these homes either a tear down or a very costly piling project, which would go $50,000 and upwards. So I think it's very important for any change in the master plan to take into consideration the free alienability of those owners of these properties and not to make it overly restrictive so as to make the sale of these homes more cumbersome going forward, and actually causing a further depreciation in the value of these homes. Thank you very much, Mayor.
And Mike, one more thing, Jim. The Rumsden Avenue bulkhead project, the guy's going to go back to work next week to get that bulkhead finished.
Thank you, Tim. Good work.
I'm not sure who the gentleman is in the green.
Would you state your name and that, ma'am? Your name and
I'm
address?
Phyllis Sanguini. I live at 2 West Drive in the Gardens.
I'm Frank Ricchetti, Superintendent of Public Works.
Okay, what I want to ask you is, on the Labor Day weekend, I saw the neighbor at 7600 block throw into the gardens in front of my home 2 screens, a big box, and later I heard there were 2 boxes of dishes, about 10 dead rose bushes in several bowls. Later on in the evening, I went down to see the Officer McLean down at the police station. And by the time she went up to check it, it was cleared out. You said earlier you removed the trash from Marvin Gardens. Did you do that on Saturday?
No, we didn't.
Well, it's a mystery to me because there was quite a lot of debris in there. And the man shouted, on Tuesday, the Public Works Department will come and clean this out. Do you know about that?
No, I don't. It's the first time I've heard it.
Well, I'm wondering if there's something going on in Marvin Gardens that they're trashing the area because you said you removed trash. When?
We've moved it on different occasions.
This weekend?
No, it wasn't. But it was earlier this week we did.
Okay, well, this happened Labor Day weekend. No,
Right.
On Sunday night, a man from 7 West Drive, I did not get his name, he physically went into the gardens, that little island right there, and took out 2 great big boxes that he said had dishes in them. He took out 2 other rectangular boxes, which I couldn't identify, in a small package. I'm wondering what we can do to curb the trashing of Marvin Gardens. Is it possible to put up a do not litter sign, something to that effect?
Yeah, I don't see a problem in that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue, Margate. I missed the very beginning, but I want to thank Mr. Deeney for his very informative report and all the work he's done with regard to both our attorney and our engineer, the 2 firms. I want to thank Commissioner Blumberg, who has been really helpful in getting the information and having Mr. Deeney get the information and putting the information up on the website. I think that would greatly be appreciated by the public. They spoke. They don't have information. It's not up there. The only thing that was rushed to get up there by Commissioner Tobey and the mayor were the letters from the attorneys, which were great, but they basically say don't fight, and there's not a lot of other information. Commissioner Tobey, I appreciate your concern about, what happens if this project happens before November and keeping it at bay, but I find it somewhat frustrating because we all knew that in order to get a seat at the table with Commissioner, Mayor knew this as well, with the Commissioner Martin, and to be able to get any kind of conversation, we needed an engineering report, which is not expensive, a couple $1,000s, and we needed an attorney that could go in and say, look, here's a report, we have some concerns, we don't have drainage, we don't have this, look at all the documents that we don't have that we're not supposed to have. That is what should have been happening back when, so that we could sit down at the table and we wouldn't be in this position. And so now you've really tied the hands of the commissioners by having this referendum to ask people in November if they want to vote to spend money, when most likely we're going to have to do something before that time. So if you're frustrated with the process, then it's on you because you did not take these actions beforehand. The other thing that I want to address is drainage issues are probably the biggest issues been from the beginning. The mayor spoke of them, Commissioner Blumberg has spoke of them, our engineer has spoke of them. And you are head of recreation. The beach is our biggest recreation. You're leading this sustainable Margate environmental issues. And we haven't heard a peep out of you about the drainage issues. It's a huge environmental issue. It's going to create trash and all
15
kinds of
seconds.
things on the beach. And yet, all you're concerned about is getting those dunes on the beach. And it's, you're shaking your head, but you're welcome to tell the public how that's a concern of yours. You haven't mentioned it in any meeting.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharon, I brought up drainage many times. In fact, as everybody knows, drainage and pooling behind the dunes needs to be addressed by the DEP with our engineer, Ed, and that hasn't happened yet.
Your name and address.
Len Grossman, 112 South Lancaster Avenue. Mr. Dini, I was wondering, in those documents that you're going to be requesting from the Corps of Engineers, where there is an environmental impact study.
I personally don't know that answer to that question, but I cannot imagine that it is not included. The documents are very, very comprehensive, so I believe it would contain an environmental, I believe the law requires that. That's why I'm answering the way I am, but I don't personally know. I haven't personally seen it.
Because there was a problem up in New York with some birds. There was an article here last meeting that mentioned that, and that's, seems to me that we might have some of the same issues.
The piping plover, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that should be included, sir.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
I'm Phyllis Cotter, 20 Circle Drive. And just to address the dumping issue in the gardens again, someone said that it's not the first time that this man has dumped in the gardens and that they've contacted the police. And so what's the protocol to the police? Because Phyllis Sanguini said she called and the police said they couldn't do anything about it.
No, that's not true. The officer went down, I believe, and Public Works was notified on Monday or Tuesday morning as soon as somebody was available. There's really, we would ask do a small investigation who the person was. If anybody saw a license plate or could identify the person, we would follow up. Apparently, in this case, that did not
Well, all
happen.
he does is he gets a Castle shopping cart and he wheels it across Ventnor Avenue right to the garden.
But I would have to put an officer there.
Well, Phyllis Sanguini had a person from Ventnor with her who saw the person do it. It's the house right across, and
And I believe the officer followed up and did
well,
what she
Phyllis
was-
can file a complaint, formal complaint.
Absolutely.
And then what happens? Do you cite these people? Are they fined?
It would depend. Ms. Sanguinini would be able to file a complaint herself. Unfortunately, under the law, we're not, unless we view it, we are not allowed to initiate a complaint. So it would have to be the person who viewed it.
Right.
So she could sign a complaint and take them to court, and it would be up to the judge to adjudicate the matter.
Okay, so you don't know of another case where someone else complained to the police department?
I would have to go back and check the records. Off the top of my head, no, ma'am.
Okay. The other thing is, Mayor Becker was at a concerned citizens meeting saying that it was going to be much easier to cross the street, that the police were going to take care of things. It's terrible. Going from Marvin Gardens to cross Ventnor Ave, trying to get cars to stop so you can cross with your grandchildren.
We had a concentrated effort in the business districts and did the best we could do in other areas. Unfortunately, I would need about